Hiya there, folks. How long has it been since the last tier list? I don't remember. I don't keep track of these sort of things. As you all know, these things are as inconsistent as all hell. In fact, that's actually going to be the case with today's video. Today, we are going to be doing a tier list for the Auditions, aka mini-games, from SpongeBob Lights, Camera, Pants. Now, to be very specific, we're talking about the console version, not the Game Boy Advance or PC versions. Those ones have mini-games, but those are entirely different games. The PC one is a point-and-click game, and the Game Boy Advance one is a platformer, obviously. So, very different games from party games, obviously. And, I got game footage for y'all, so, yeah, it ain't gonna be boring this time. Maybe, I don't know. Again, inconsistent as all hell. Welcome to my channel. And, before we get any further, I just want to point out that, as always with these tier lists, this was 100% opinionated. So, if you disagree with any games that end up here, or any games that end up down here, then, again, don't get angry, because this is just my opinion. If you like a game that's in no, or if you hate a game that's in great, then you feel free to keep doing that. I'm not here to change your mind. That's not what this video is about. But, yeah, so how would we go about doing this? Well, how we're going to do this, we're going to go in order from... We're going to start with the main campaign games, then we're going to do the bonus games, and then the tiebreaker games. And we're going to go in order from when the locations pop up here. So first up, we have the Krusty Krab, and we start out with Flippin' Out. All these images I actually ripped from the game, because nobody else has done it, so I just decided to go ahead and do it. And, yeah, Flippin' Out. It's the first game we play, or you play in the game. And, well, obviously what you gotta do, you gotta flip patties to your partner. Your partner gotta catch the patties, obviously. And you gotta discard any chum burgers. Very simple stuff. For as simple as it is a pretty good game. It's definitely regarded as one of the best in the game. I myself wouldn't say it's great, but it's still good. I guess there's not really much to say here, since I'm not talking about multiple things. So this should hopefully be a much smaller tier list, so I gotta put that one in good. And moving on to the next Krusty Krab game, we have Order Up, another 2 versus 2 game. Okay, truth be told, this one, yeah, okay, I'm not gonna hide anything. This one is, not so good, honestly. This is one of the 2 versus 2 games where you actually switch places halfway through the game. There's 2 different things, preparing the food and being the waiter. It seems like once you become the waiter, by the way, oh shoot, I almost forgot. I am solo. I am basing this off of solo experience, since I don't have friends, or at least real life friends to play this game with, so I'm basing this off of a single player experience with the first controller, or with the controller being plugged into the first controller slot, because you might be wondering why I have to even mention that, but there's a few games where that's irrelevant, sort of. So, yeah, basically, once you get the waiter role, the whole thing falls apart. Also, I'm basing all of these off of, like, the normal difficulty. So, yeah, welcome to my tier list. These are sloppy. These are always put together sloppy. Get used to it. But yeah, basically, you prepare food. If you screw up orders, yeah, you know, it's just not that engaging, and plus, it gets to the point where, like, it's really tight. Really tight. So, yeah, I wouldn't say that's a good one. Same could be said for the final Krusty Krab game, the Bouncers. Basically, it's pattern-based. It's a pattern-based game, therefore, it's not that hard, and it's not that interesting. It speeds up, and you switch places, but it's not, again, it's nothing really worth talking about. So, I mean, at least the CPU here that you work with is a little bit more reliable. So, I'll put it at the top of meh. It's better than Order Up for that reason. And just like that, we're done with the Krusty Krab. It's almost been like 5 minutes. Wow, that usually takes us a lot longer to get the 3 of them. But moving on to Goo Lagoon, we have Inflatable Pants. And this one is very simple. You race to the end of the Goo Lagoon with inflatable pants, obviously. This game is filled with farts. That's all I have to say. Obstacles, it speeds up as you go on. It's actually a pretty fun game. I actually do really enjoy it, so where am I going to put it? You know, honestly, I feel like this might be a little bit controversial, but I'm going to put it above flipping out, honestly, because, I don't know, I just like it. It's more intense, if you ask me. Just in my opinion. Again, can't stress that enough. Moving on, we have the only 2 versus 2 game of Goo Lagoon, which is wait and see. You gotta help your buff guy, whether it be Larry or Don the Whale, whoever remembers that guy. He's not even a fledged out character, if you ask me. Fleshed out character, I said that wrong. But yeah, you gotta do weights, you gotta balance the weights. It's not fun. Sometimes your partner can be a real piece of shit, so you know what? I'd say it's... Okay, what did I say? Is it worse than Order Up? Okay, no. I feel like I'd go with this one, because one thing about this is that whoever finishes all of their weight combinations first, the game ends immediately, so that's fine, I suppose. Moving up, we have another 4 versus a 4-player, whatever. I don't know why I said it like that. Surf Rescue. That's how it's said. It's a fishing game. You have to try to get lost and found stuff, I suppose, that's in the ocean. I guess we're cleaning up the ocean, pollution on the ocean floor. I'm not so sure. This one's actually pretty interesting. There's like, there's buoys or whatever across the sea, and depending on the color is where you have to really like rev up your whatchamacallit. I don't know how to explain this crap. Basically, there is a strategy to it. I like it. There's even a bonus round with beach balls that are worth double the points. So, yeah, I actually do really enjoy this one. Where did I put it? I think, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's as good as these 2, but I'll put it at the back of good. Surf Rescue is definitely a good game. Moving on now, we are at Mrs. Puff's boating school, and we have the Juggernaut, Goo Gladiators. This is probably one of the first 4-player games that people think about when they think of Lights, Camera, Pants. You are on unicycles in a corral, or a coliseum, if you will, because I guess gladiators, Goo Gladiators, aha. And you gotta keep knocking people off, avoid falling in yourself, and bumpers get at it. It's a really intense game, tricky but really intense, and I actually really like it. It's very strategic. Charging up your shots is very, useful. And it's a lot of fun. It really is. Especially, like, when you get launched off, or, like, when you go flying when somebody hits you, it's important to use your brakes, too. Because that's very important. So, it's, again, there's a much a strategic angle to it. And I think it works. It's a lot of fun. So, honestly, I put this one in great. I think this is, honestly, my favorite one, honestly. Moving on. Another 4 versus 4. All the boating school ones are 4 versus 4s. We have Pedal of Honor. It's a stunt bike game. Where you're going down an endless road. Honestly, as cool as that is, I don't find this one too engaging. I don't know why, I just don't. I really have not much to say about it, honestly, so... but, it's not bad, it's not... I wouldn't say it's eh, so I'd say it's okay. I think it's okay. I feel like these are worse, honestly. Moving on, the final one for boating school is Floor It! This is a racing game. I'm not saying the game goes into a flat-out kart racer or Mario Kart territory, because there's no items, but it's just a basic racing game. It's very simple, but honestly, it's a lot of fun. The tracks get longer. There's 3 rounds, and it's really cool. One thing I have to complain about is that whoever comes in last has a victory line, or they say something good.
Pink means best.
I have no idea what that was about. I feel like that was an oversight, or maybe they were planning fail lines. I'm not so sure. But I still think this is a lot of fun. Honestly, I think it's better than these. I put it at the top of good, actually, because I really enjoy Floor It. Moving on to the Sand Stadium, we have another game that is very well known. Rock Bottom. I was about to say Floor It again. What the hell? Rock Bottom is basically Guitar Hero with SpongeBob. And yes, this is a lot of fun, especially when you combine the characters and all that. If you really want some good stuff, definitely look up like the full version. There's people who have combined all of the characters, whatchamacallit. It's really cool. In fact, you're probably hearing that right now if I decide to put that in the video. Yeah, it's really nice. This is one game where it changes depending on the difficulty. So, like, the harder you have your character set to, the more notes there are. So, yeah, I don't exactly know the whatchamacallits for all these games, but if I do, then I'll mention. But yeah, definitely Rock Bottom. I do prefer Goo Gladiators more, but Rock Bottom is still a fantastic game. Moving on, we have Jig on the Brig, which is a jig game. Squilliam says some stuff, and you gotta copy it. It's a memory game, pretty much. And, I mean, it's cool to see SpongeBob and friends doing a jig, but, you know, it's not really much. It gets faster. There's 5 in a row bonuses and all that, but I wouldn't say it's that engaging. I think it's okay. And I feel like I'd prefer it more than Pedal of Honor, honestly, so I'll put it there. Moving on, the final Sand Stadium game, Beats Me. This is a drum game, which is also a memorization game with Squilliam. Yeah, out of all the Sand Stadium games, this one is my least favorite. I just find it boring as all hell. If you play on a harder difficulty, there's more beats that you have to copy. But, yeah, it's still not my cup of tea, honestly. It's my least favorite of the bunch. But I will say, while I think it's meh, it's definitely, I think it's better than all of these. So I'll put it at the top of meh. Moving on to the Chum Bucket, we have Machine Meltdown. Now, I guess it's mandatory that every party game needs to have a glorified button masher. And this is the main button masher of the game. Honestly, what I could just describe this as, it's basically flipping out, but with a lot more shit going on. And I think a lot of people actually don't like this one. Although, personally, I actually find it really engaging. I don't know why. I'm not saying it's good, but I kind of like it. So what you gotta do, you gotta keep moving around, keeping all the machines working so you can process the chum for... You're working at the Chum Bucket making chum that nobody is going to buy. I just realized that. What the heck? So, yeah, there's a Chum Bucket meals you gotta prepare. One thing is that there's a gimmick where eventually the Chum Bucket runs on a generator, and once that dies, you have to repair that in order to continue working on the food. So I do kind of like that. I feel like if you were just going back and forth working on the food, it would be pretty monotonous. I guess it is pretty monotonous regardless, but honestly, I think it balances everything out. I mean, that's at least my... Again, I cannot stress this enough. This is my opinion. But I feel like it kind of tries to make the whole thing work with button mashing, and I think it does a fair job. Not a great job, maybe not even a good job, and plus, I just love the frantic nature. Like, put this up on full blast, and I don't know. That's just me. I'm just a stupid person. Pretend I didn't say that. Also, very important note about this game. If you're gonna play this, do not set everybody to easy, because if you do that, you're just gonna hear
Meltdown! Team 2, repair your generator immediately!
The entire freaking game, and it's just as annoying as it sounds. Moving right along, we have Surface Tension, another Chum Bucket game. I think this is another one that a lot of people don't like, but I personally enjoy it a lot, actually. So it's a bubble popping game. There's different bubbles that are worth different points, and there's dangerous bubbles you gotta look out for. The dirty bubble shows up at some point, and you can pop them, which is a lot of fun, honestly. So, you know what, this one, I feel it's another risky move, but again, this is my list. I'm doing opinions here. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's actually one of my favorites, honestly. So, yeah, there you go. And then the final Chum Bucket game we have is Charge. Yeah, out of all of them, I feel like this is my least favorite, honestly. Not because it's bad or anything, but I don't know. It's just not that interesting. It's not really my go-to game, honestly. So what you gotta do is that you gotta charge yourself up and then color pegs. And the more pegs you have colored, the more points you get. It's the sort of thing. There's a power surge at some point, which is worth double points. But it's not really that, for me, it's not that fun, honestly. It's just kind of boring, honestly. So, I think I'll put it, honestly, where do I put it? Do I want to put it, you know, okay, maybe we'll move it up a bit. We'll do it at the top of meh, honestly. Moving on, we got another one that I ain't hiding anything with. Jellyfish Jamboree. We're on the Jellyfish fields now. This one is a ton of fun. I love this one. You gotta catch jellyfish, and you gotta launch them to your jellyfish extractors, or jelly extractors. Animal abuse, pretty much. The blue ones are worth the least, the orange ones are like medium, I guess, and the pink ones are worth the most. There's also a whirlpool, or not a whirlpool, but a tornado or something. I think they call it a whirlpool, I don't even know. It's basically whatever you want to call it. You gotta avoid that. So this one's a lot of fun. I really like this one. Do I think it's better than Surface Tension? You know what? Yeah. I think it's better than Surface Tension. I just screwed up that. Yike. Okay, sorry, folks. Alright, moving on. Continuing with Jellyfish Fields, we have Jellyfish Swish. It's basically jellyfishing, but with a bungee cord.
It's bungee jumping Squidward.
Pretty much. So, yeah. It's basically exactly what it sounds like. It's bungee jumping and jellyfishing. It's a little finicky to control, honestly. So, like, you have to let go at a certain point. It's kind of like it's a little, you gotta plan ahead. It's not really that easy. I mean, it's doable, but, like, I wouldn't say it's ideal. There is, a part where, like, a lot of jellyfish come out, but it's not really, that much fun, honestly, for me. So, it's another meh. I put it at the top of meh, at the very least. And then, oh boy, and then comes the final Jellyfish Fields game, which is the only two versus 2 one, and that is the Tide Piper. Now, this one, I ain't had anything. I hate this one. So, how this works is that one player is the Piper, who hypnotizes the jellyfish, and the other one is the catcher, who has to catch the jellyfish and put it in their corresponding cage. The issue is, this is one of the 2 versus 2 games where you don't switch roles. So, player 1, example, player 1 who has their controller in the player 1 socket. Or actually, no. Players 1 and 3 are always the Piper, and players 2 and 4 are always the catchers. There's no switching in the middle of the game. And let me just tell you, this is one game where the CPU just doesn't know what to do. Typically, if you're playing this, like, regularly, like, one player with the controller in the first controller slot, you're pretty much screwed. It all comes down to luck. You might just squeeze out on top at the end. But mainly, your catcher will either stay near the other Piper, who they're supposed to avoid. They might walk around in circles. They might be busy trying to catch the wrong jellyfish. When this giant jellyfish comes out, they might try to stay near it for as long as they can. Or, if all of that fails, they might just get stuck in a rock. And I will say this, I have played this with the controller plugged into the second slot, and I can guarantee you that, while still not perfect, the CPU is a lot better at being the Piper than they are being the catcher. So, you know, with that in mind, you could argue, could I give us a pass there? Well, no, because by default, player 1 is always the Piper, I have to say that CPU is terrible. No, it's not good. I mean, the music has some nice, you know, goofy kind of, like, music, some whatchamacallit. But, I mean, even then, it's not the most memorable music in the game, honestly. So, yeah, I'm sorry. The Tide Piper is not my whatchamacallit. Moving on to the Bikini Bottom jail, we have Seahorse Stampede. This is basically Polo. Yeah, I don't know if this is just because I'm not good at Polo, or I just don't find it interesting, but I don't really like this one either. There is a strategy to it, but even with that, it's still like, I guess it has to be, it's a sports preference. It's kind of like soccer also, I guess you could compare it to that. And I know how those games work, but they're just not my cup of tea. This is just my personal preference. Plus, one thing, I was ready to put this at the back of meh, not good, but there's one thing that really rubs me the wrong way about this game, is that any player, even the people you're against, have a little, like, victory thing, a little victory animation whenever they get a goal, and it's basically to rub it in. I don't like that. If I lose at something, don't rub it in, because that's just gonna make me feel like an idiot, okay? So, again, that's just me, though. I feel like other people are alright with that. I know some people who actually do like this one, but I'm just not one of them, so I'm sorry. It's better than the Tide Piper, but it's still not one of my go-to games. On the other hand, though, Breaking Out is excellent. Basically, as the name implies, you're helping prisoners break out. They're freaking tiny. as a kid, I thought we were breaking children out of jail or something. I literally thought they were kids or something. There's spotlights you got to avoid. There's a charge ability which will help you get out of the spotlights. It's very intense. Another intense game. And I like it a lot. Do I think it's better than Surface Tension, though? No. I don't think so. I think it's still a great game. But I wouldn't say it's the best up here. Then moving on, I have a minigame here that I know one of my friends hates. Rubble Rabble. So this is a, whatchamacallit, it's a 2 versus 2 game where you have to break rocks, obviously. And there are 2 different rocks. There's rocks with gold in them and rocks with diamonds. And the diamond rocks require more hits. There's small rocks, medium rocks, and big rocks. And the bigger rocks have to be destroyed multiple times since they break into little things. It's kind of cool. It's in a sense, if you know what you got to do, it's pretty much another button masher. There's also dust rocks you have to avoid, or else you get stunned. But yeah, this one's pretty much another button masher. And I wouldn't say it reaches the same chaotic level of Machine Meltdown. I mean, I like Machine Meltdown because there's other things to it, and I just like the chaotic nature of it, and just the idea that you're making food for the Chum Bucket is just funny enough for me to be like, okay, that gave me a laugh. This, though, you're just messing with rocks. It gets faster, and that's pretty much it. But, yeah, and I know in hard, the regular rocks also require multiple hits to break. I think they reused the crack texture from the blue rocks, which hold the diamonds. So that's a little, I don't remember, though. I haven't played the game on hard in a long while, so don't quote me on that. But I'll put it at the top of meh, not good, honestly. And with that, we're done with the jail, and we're moving on to downtown Bikini Bottom. Man, this is looking to be the shortest tier list video I've ever done. Here we have, once again, all of these are 2 versus 2 games. Like the Krusty Krab. We have blistering barnacles. So, we are pretty much window washers for the Sea Needle. And there are barnacles all over this thing. And you gotta scrape them off. This is a bit of a strategic-based one. Therefore, it's a lot better than all these. So, what you gotta do is that you gotta quickly get the barnacles off if you want to get the blistering bonus. And then, also, you gotta be careful, because you have a bucket where you store let me put it down, you see it right there. You got a bucket that you store the barnacles in, and you gotta make sure the barnacles land in that bucket, and you gotta make sure that the bucket doesn't go flying towards one of the edges of the platform, or else you're gonna lose barnacles. So, lose your barnacles, huh? And there's also a big barnacle bonus, or like a big barnacle that shows up during the game, and that takes like multiple whatchamacallits. But yeah, it's definitely intense, but it's still not one of my, it's not one of my favorites, but I think it's okay. I put it in the back of okay. I think that's a good place for it. Next up, we have Rope Burn, and this one, okay, I'm gonna be entirely honest with you. This one is like the Tide Piper, where it's a 2 versus 2 game. Each player on the team has a different role, and you never switch. And much like the Tide Piper, depending on which role you have, the CPU is either worse or better. In this case, the CPU typically has, if you're playing this, regularly, single player with the controller plugged into the first slot, the CPU is climbing the rope. And their job is to dodge the windows to get points. That's how you get points in the game. Whereas the person on the top of the building has to keep changing batteries. And if the CPU has the battery job, they're going to keep walking in circles. They're going to keep picking up the wrong batteries, and you're not going to get anywhere. And yeah, basically. So, because the default, you have the better job, I suppose, I will say it's better than Tide Piper, although it's still not that fun, honestly. It's really boring, actually. So, yeah, I'll put it above Tide Piper, but it's still a no game for me. And again, I feel like some of these no games would be better if you actually had 2 human players. But again, I don't have any in real life friends. I don't have any whatchamacallits. So I can't really judge how the game is played with multiple players. So, sorry. And then moving on to the final Downtown Bikini Bottom game and the final campaign game, or at least main campaign game, Flingin' and Swingin'. Now, this one is really tricky, but if you get the hang of it, it's actually a really intense game. I really like this one. So you gotta touch, like, you're on a building and there's 100 pegs on it, and you either have to get all of the pegs or have the most pegs touched. And it's really cool, actually. There's like a pattern to it, so like it's really cool. And especially if you're on medium, like what I was, it could be pretty intense too, because the computer players are a lot better at it with medium. So yeah, I really like flinging and swinging. So I wouldn't say it's great, but I definitely would put it up in good. I think I'll put it above no, I said Gur for a second. Surf Rescue. I'll put it above Surf Rescue. I mean, Surf, yeah, I said that right. I don't know why. Why is that hard to say? I don't know. But yeah, these are all the main campaign games, but we still have some bonus games to cover. So let's check those out, starting with Mother of Pearl. Now, you unlock this one by completing the Bronze Story mode. And basically, you're in the whatchamacallit. Like, I think you're in the place that was in the Smoking Peanut, the Coliseum or whatever. And you got dumbass Clamu, I think, spitting out the clams, or the pearls. And you gotta bounce them. You gotta bounce them off and try to get them into other people's little territories. This one is a little messy, honestly. In fact, actually, I think this is actually a good spot for it. This one's pretty messy. There's a bonus round where the clam spits out gold pearls, which are worth more. But, yeah, I don't know. It's pretty random. It's fine. It's still a fine game, but just not one of my favorites, honestly. And it's also another one that is altered depending on the difficulty. Mainly the sticks that you use to bounce, the whatchamacallit. You barely have any stick in hard, let me tell you. But it's still a decent little game. Just not, in my opinion, not one of the greatest. Moving on, we have Hook, Line, and Cheddar. Now, this game is unlocked by completing the Silver Story mode. And what you gotta do is, you gotta ride the hooks, collect cheese, and you gotta hook other players as well. Now, this game is confusing as all hell. And I was ready to put this into no, like right here at the bottom of no. But just recently, I figured out how to play this game. And it's pretty interesting. What you gotta do is that, to hook a player, you gotta hold the A. You gotta hold down A or X, depending on your console, to, like, you know, to tug on the hook. And then you gotta quickly get on top of another player and let go to hook them. And then to maneuver around the hooks, or to change hooks, you gotta jump off the hook and then swim in the air by tapping the button. And it's really intense, actually. It's actually one of the most intense games, in my opinion. Sometimes you get hooked at random, even though there's nobody around you. I don't know why. It's a little confusing, but it is what it is. There's also a tube field, which makes you lose points, but you want to stop what you're doing there and go for the gold hook when that shows up, because that will make you invincible. There's definitely a lot of strategy to this one, and honestly, you know what? I wouldn't say, if I made this video last year, I wouldn't be saying this, but I'm putting this above Surf Rescue. I personally like Hook, Line, and Cheddar. I guess I was a bit more, I guess I was harsh on it before, but I've grown to actually really like this game. Still not the best, honestly, but I still think it's pretty good. I'm sure this is going to be the most controversial one in the video, but I don't know. Plus the music. I love the music here, honestly. I just do. Alright, moving on. We have another bonus game, Tethered and Weathered, which is unlocked for completing the Gold Story mode. This one, you know what, I don't really have much to say about this. One player walks around, and the other one is a kite, and they move up and down to get clams, and whoever's the kite throws the clams. It's about stealing clams and all that, and screwing over the player. Halfway through, you switch, so it's like Order Up, so that's good at the very least. It's not that fun, honestly. It's pretty meh, honestly. So, I don't really have much to say about it. The wind changes. Yeah. I think it's worse than Order Up. I'll put it right there. And then the final bonus game, which is probably the trickiest one to get, unless you use cheat codes, is Loot Scootin'. This is unlocked by collecting or unlocking all of the artwork in the game, which requires you to know what you're doing, or else things can get permanently locked, meaning this game could get permanently locked. So, yeah, it's not ideal. In my opinion, that's one of the problems with Lights, Camera, Pants, but, you know, people never really notice it, but whatever. Loot Scootin' is decent. I wouldn't say it's the best game here. You're robbing the Dutchman pretty much. So you gotta stack up gold bars and, like, safely maneuver them to the other side of a ship. The Dutchman shows up and tries to hurt you, and there's cannonballs rolling around. The music here's it's really good. It's like a rendition of, like, what do we do with a drunken sailor? And then it goes into, like, My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean. It's really nice music. But, yeah, music aside, it's not really that, honestly. There's a bit of a strategy to it, but it's, you know, it's about taking it easy, taking it slow. And let's be real, you don't want to take it slow. But, you know, it's still okay, but it's going to have to go in the back of okay. Sorry. Moving on, we have the Tiebreaker games. Now, in the story mode, when two players are qualified to get a role in the movie, but they have the same amount of points, that initiates a tiebreaker. And the most common one is rock, paper, scissors. Now, you can actually get this by beating the challenge that's in Loot Scootin'. Although, again, most people will probably not be able to do that. So most people will probably play this during, like, a tiebreaker that happens either during the Krusty Krab or downtown. Those are the easiest ways to actually trigger a tiebreaker, since all of those are 2 versus 2 games. And, I mean, it's rock, paper, scissors with bubbles, so it's a reference to Doodle Bob, or Frankendoodle is the name of the episode, my bad. That's nice. I liked that. Gil Hammerstein narrates the whole thing, which is funny. Especially, I don't know, his lisp seems to be very heavy here. And it's really funny. A lot of our friends thought that when he says it's a draw, we thought he was saying it's a straw. When I was a kid, I thought he was saying Patrick Star, which is entirely, you know, not right. But, I mean, you know, me and my friends also made a dumb joke out of this game. But honestly, yeah, just for that, personally, I have to put it in okay. I mean, I know it's rock, paper, scissors, but come on. This is like, I don't know. Okay, now, I'm sure a lot of people who are just watching this for the first time won't even understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, this is the common tiebreaker game. There is another tiebreaker game that I'm sure most of you don't even know about, and that is 2 Up. This one is terrible. Oh my god. So this occurs when there's a 3-way tie, which I don't even know if that's possible to trigger in the main story mode. Is it possible? Somebody get on that. Let me know if that's possible. So unlike rock, paper, scissors, where it plays out like rock, paper, scissors, you gotta choose, and you gotta, you know, hope, whatchamacallit, there's a lot of, you know, there's actually strategy behind that. Whereas this, it's random. It just randomly chooses who wins. And that's not a good way to determine who gets the role, honestly. Not a good way to determine that. And honestly, the only reason why I'm not putting it above or below Tide Piper, I'm going to put it here, right next to it. The reason why it's not getting the bottom of the list is because most people probably would never play this. Considering, you know, it's a 3-way tiebreaker game. And, again, what are the chances of that happening? I myself have never had that happen. I mean, rock, paper, scissors I've had happen plenty of times through over the years I played this game, but I've never encountered 2 Up properly. The first time I played it was when I unlocked it by, you know, getting the bonus in Loot Scootin'. And I'm sure that's probably the other way that most people have played this, or they use cheat codes to play it. So, yeah, I can't say it's good. Plus, honestly, the victory animations here, I hate them. I don't know why. There's something about them that just rubs me the wrong way. I don't like them at all. So, I'm sorry. Again, that would also kind of push it here. But considering the fact that most people probably would never even play this, that's why it's not at the absolute bottom. I know someone who put it at the bottom, but again, I feel like I need to be fair for other people. So, but then again, I don't know, it's opinion-based. So, with that said, this concludes my really crappy tier list for the auditions, aka minigames, in Lights, Camera, Pants. Boy, this is probably the shortest tier list I've ever done. Unless it's the same length as my Nicktoons or Nickelodeon crossover games one. That wasn't as long. I don't remember. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I really don't have much else to say. So, yeah. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know what some of your favorite auditions are in the game. Let me know which ones you don't like. And also let me know what version of the game you play. Because, just why the heck not? Just to engage with you guys. So, yeah. I got nothing else to say except I'll be seeing you all soon for more videos. I don't know when the next tier list video is coming. I don't know what it will be about. But, regardless, I'll be seeing you.
It's bungee jumping Squidward!
Patrick, no!
Step 1 is to jump.
Yeah!
Step 2 is to make sure it's a kick. Oh.
Please, Squidward, take these sheets! I'm sorry for every bad thing I've ever done.
I forgive you, Squidward.